YAVANA RANI. YAVANA RANI is a historical fiction novel written in Tamil by Sandlian. The novel is set in the time period of the 3rd century BC and focuses on the life of the Queen of Madurai, Velaraja's daughter, and Pandya Queen, Kandavai. Chapter 1: The Birth of Kandavai. The novel begins with the birth of Kandavai, the daughter of Velaraja and the Queen of Madurai. It describes how her parents were overjoyed at her birth and how she was named after a brave queen who had ruled the land centuries ago. Chapter 2: Kandavai's childhood. The chapter describes Kandavai's childhood and how she was brought up in the palace of Madurai. It talks about her education, her love for horses, and her friendship with her cousin, Aramashivaman. Chapter 3: The Battle of Kalinga. The chapter describes the Battle of Kalinga, in which the Mauryan Emperor Ashoka fought against the kingdom of Kalinga. Kandavai's father, Velaraja, fought on the side of Ashoka, and the chapter describes his bravery and the role he played in the battle. Chapter 4: The Secret of the Ashoka Pillar. The chapter talks about the Ashoka Pillar, which was erected in Madurai after Ashoka's conquest of Kalinga. It describes how the pillar had a secret inscription that was known only to a few people, and how Kandavai's father was one of those people. Chapter 5: Kandavai and Aramashivaman. The chapter describes Kandavai's growing friendship with Aramashivaman, who was the son of the Chola king, Pothaban. It talks about their shared love for horses and how they would often ride together in the forest. Chapter 6: The Pandya Queen. The chapter introduces the Pandya Queen, who was a powerful ruler in the south. It describes how she had a vast army and how she was feared by many. The chapter also talks about her son, who was known for his bravery. Chapter 7: The Marriage Proposal. The chapter talks about how the Chola king, Pothaban, proposed to Kandavai's father that Aramashivaman should marry Kandavai. It describes how Velaraja was pleased with the proposal, but how he also had some reservations. Chapter 8: The Journey to Thanjavur. The chapter describes how Kandavai and her father set out on a journey to Thanjavur to meet the Chola king and his son. It talks about the difficulties they faced on the journey and how they finally arrived at the Chola capital. Chapter 9: The Meeting with Pothaban. The chapter describes Kandavai's meeting with Pothaban and how she was impressed by his knowledge and wisdom. It talks about how he showed her around the city and how she was struck by its beauty. Chapter 10: Aramashivaman's visit to Madurai. The chapter talks about Aramashivaman's visit to Madurai and how he was welcomed by Kandavai and her father. It describes how they spent time together and how their friendship grew stronger. Chapter 11: The Attack on Madurai. The chapter describes an attack on Madurai by a neighbouring kingdom. It talks about how Velaraja and his army fought back, and how Kandavai played a crucial role in the battle. Chapter 12: The Secret of the Ashoka Pillar revealed. The chapter reveals the secret of the Ashoka Pillar, which was known only to a few people. It is revealed that the inscription and the pillar tells the story of a woman who was born to rule and who would bring glory to her land. Kandavai realizes that the woman referred to in the inscription is none other than herself. Chapter 13. Kandavai's Decision. The revelation of the secret inscription and the Ashoka pillar leaves Kandavai feeling conflicted. She realizes that she is meant to rule and bring glory to her land, but she is also torn between her duty to her people and her love for Aramashivoman. Chapter 14. The Battle of Uraya. The chapter describes the Battle of Uraya, in which the Cholas and Pandyas fought against each other. Kandavai's father was killed in the battle, and Kandavai was taken captive by the Pandyas. Chapter 15. Kandavai's Imprisonment. The chapter talks about Kandavai's imprisonment by the Pandyas. It describes how she was treated poorly by her captors and how she longed for freedom. Chapter 16. Kandavai's Escape. The chapter describes Kandavai's escape from her captivity. It talks about how she used her wit and intelligence to outsmart her captors and how she finally managed to escape. Chapter 17. The Journey to Kanchai. The chapter talks about Kandavai's journey to Kanchai, where Aramashivoman was living. It describes how she disguised herself as a servant to avoid detection and how she finally arrived in Kanchai. Chapter 18. The Meeting with Aramashivoman. The chapter describes Kandavai's meeting with Aramashivoman. It talks about how they expressed their love for each other and how they planned to unite their kingdoms. Chapter 19. The Battle of Thirupurambiyam. The chapter describes the Battle of Thirupurambiyam, in which the Cholas and Pandyas fought against each other. Kandavai played a crucial role in the battle, and the Cholas emerged victorious. Chapter 20. Kandavai's Coronation. The chapter talks about Kandavai's coronation as the Queen of Madurai. It describes how she took the oath to protect her people and how she was welcomed by her subjects. Chapter 21. The Unification of the Kingdoms. The chapter talks about how Kandavai and Aramashivoman united their kingdoms and how they worked together to bring peace and prosperity to their people. Chapter 22. The End of Kandavai's Reign. The chapter talks about the end of Kandavai's reign as the Queen of Madurai. It describes how she ruled for many years and how she was loved by her people. It also talks about how she passed on the throne to her son and how she lived the rest of her life in peace. Conclusion. YAVANA RANI is a historical novel that tells the story of the Queen of Madurai, Kandavai, and her journey to become a powerful ruler. The novel is filled with action, romance, and intrigue, and it offers a fascinating glimpse into the lives of people who lived centuries ago. Overall, YAVANA RANI is a must-read for anyone who is interested in history, culture, and literature.